Good day, friends. We have a new project on the bench, and this guitar was bought in by a guy. In fact, I actually bought two guitars in, and I was going to do both guitars together in one video, but I've decided not to now because I remember there is a problem with this one that is going to need special attention. So I'm going to show you what it is. You were thinking, oh, Fender Strat, and you'd be absolutely right. But this is not regular. Well, it is regular, but it's Japanese, made in Japan, and this is the owner's pride and joy. And he refretted it himself, and he's made a really good job of it. And a friend of his actually lacquered the neck as well, and he's made a really good job of that. So you're thinking, well, what's wrong then? You know, but the thing is, for whatever reason, with the truss rod loose, there's back bow in the neck, and he doesn't want that. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to take the neck off and we're going to have a look, because the adjuster is at this end. So I'm going to see if we can get this straight without altering anything or without clamping the neck. If we can't get it straight, I'm going to have a go at straightening it. And that is not an easy thing to do when the guitar has already been refretted and lacquered. I'm wondering if just clamping back is going to be alright. But if not, I'm going to do it another way. I'm going to get this neck straight, or these frets level with the neck with a slight bit of back bow in it. You can do that. Fret wire looks pretty high, so it looks pretty good. He's made a good job of this refret for a first go. Really impressed with that. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have to take the neck off to check how straight it is or isn't. That with not straight edge on it as it is, that really is not that bad. There is a little bit of bow in the middle. I'd be quite happy to just fret level that as it is with that bow in it, because I'd rather not bend that neck. I don't think it's going to bend. I think if we start bending that neck, we are going to crack the lacquer. If we put heat on there as well, it's going to start moving glue about under the fretboard, and it's going to start affecting things in a way we don't want them to be affected. I am going to suggest, in fact I'm not going to suggest, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to back clamp that neck overnight, but I'm not going to go mental, and if it doesn't go straight, I'm not going to be that worried about it. I am thinking that I could level those frets with the neck as it is, and once we get some string tension on there, we can put some relief in it anyway. I don't think that's anything major to worry about. I'm going to suggest this to the owner. Something else I'm going to do with this, it's coming for fretwork anyway, but I forgot about the neck work. That's going to add, it's not making a bigger problem. I'm just thinking, the back bow in this is that small. I'm thinking I could level this as is and it'll still be fine. Just to appease the owner, I'm going to back clamp it overnight and see if we can get it straight. Problem with that is, if we get it straight overnight, will it walk back to a little bit of back bow again in the future? End of the day, string tension will sort that out. So not a massive worry, but it could be problematic. So I'm going to do that overnight, see how we go on. Something else this guitar is having, definitely having a new nut. I'm going to put a nut in there, and I'm going to modify the wiring, and we are going to go with a blend pot. So let me explain how Stratocasters normally are wired. Just turn the volume off my phone, because that'll be my wife, I think. So explain how wiring normally goes on a Strat. You have two tone pots. You have a volume, tone, and this tone is for the neck, and this tone is for the middle. No tone on the bridge. Now what I've been doing recently is wiring this tone to include the bridge pickup, but we ain't doing that, not with this mod. You've got master volume for all three pickups. We're going to keep that as a master volume. We're going to alter this, and that's going to be a master tone for all three pickups, so you'll have tone on all three. This one, we're going to remove the pot, we're going to put a no-load pot in there, and we're going to use it as a blender. What do we mean by a blender? Well, let me explain. I'll go through the positions. In position, what I call position 1, you've got just the bridge pickup. Position 2, bridge and middle. Position 3, just the middle. Position 4, middle and neck. Position 5, just the neck. Great combinations, but you're not able to have these two on together, and you're certainly not able to have all three on together. Now with the blend pot, what we do is in position 1, we use this as a blend. So in position 1, you've got the bridge pickup. As soon as you go off 10 on this, you bring in the neck pickup and you blend it in fully. So you can have there, bridge on 10, turn it anything off 10, brings in a neck pickup. So you've got these two, Position 2, where you've got bridge and middle, you can blend in the neck. So you've got all three. Position 3, just normal, just the middle one on its own, can't blend anything in. Position 4, you've got middle and neck, you can blend in the bridge. And position 5, just the neck, again you can blend in the bridge. So it gives you, so you get your normal 5 positions, then you also get these 2 on in either this position or this position with the blend. And in position 2 or position 4, blend in, you get all 3 pickups on. You can have these 2 blend in the bridge, or you can have these 2 blend in the neck. It's a fantastic modification. You don't have to change anything else. You use a capacitor that's already in there. You just have to alter a little bit of wiring. I will show you the diagram. And if you want to go and Google Stratocaster 5-way with blender, you'll find this diagram for yourself. It's my favourite mod on a Strat. I've done it a few times now. My clients absolutely love it. And for the price of, you know, half an hour's work and 10 quid for a pot, you know, I actually charge 35 quid for this modification when you're having all work done. On its own, if you're just having that modification, I'd charge you 45 quid. So not overly expensive, a great mod, and everyone seems to like it. I love it. So that's what we're doing with this. First, I'm going to have a go with the neck. It's why this one's going to be a little bit more than the other guitars having done. And there's other guitars not having the mod done to the electrics either. So we're going to try and sort out this neck. If not, I'm going to level the frets as they are, level, reprofile. I won't know more until I've got the neck off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the neck, and I will come back. We'll have a tweak with a truss rod, and I'll come back and let you know what I think and how we are going to proceed with getting this neck right. Saying that, as it is, he was not able to level the frets because of the back bow, but as it is, right, I could clamp this back. I could even get it in the neck jig, get this clamp straight and level the frets anyway. But I may level with that little bit of back bow in there. I'm going to put it to the client and see what he thinks, but first I will have a go at straightening it. I'm not convinced we can do it, but we might. Problem with trying to straighten this with heat, it's going to affect the lacquer and it's going to affect the glue. And it is not my recommended fix for this. Can we clamp it back overnight without heat and get it to stay? I'm not convinced, so I'll get back to you and I will let you know. Okay, so that was with the truss rod completely loose, and we do have a slight back bow in this neck. Not, oh, it is quite bad actually. Let's have a look, let's have a look, let's have a look. Yeah, oh, we have a good 1/2 millimetre back bow, especially at this end. Now that is kind of creating fall off, so it's not a big worry. But what I'm going to do is it's just at this end, it dips down. Now that we could class as fall away. Let me just see what it does with the not straight edge on top of the frets. Okay, yeah, we've got 1/2 mil of back bow coming from fret, basically from fret 12 down to here. We are losing 1/2 mil of height. So okay, I understand why it probably needs me to straighten this neck. The bend is more or less in the neck. I can see, looking down the length of the neck, I don't know if you're going to see it, but just down this end, I'm going to turn it round, try and get it at an angle where you can just see there. And the bend kind of starts here and it sort of veers off down that way. So going that way, that's where most of the bend is. I don't know what you can see of that. It's basically from here to there, and it goes slightly that way. I'm going to clamp it back overnight. I'm thinking, because this has no knot, I'm thinking this has never been strung up since he's refretted it. I don't know when he refretted it. I am going to suggest that one reason we're leveling these frets is the lacquer's still on top of the frets. We've got to get rid of that anyway. We knew about that. But I don't think this has been strung up since he's refretted it. So what I'm thinking is, we're going to clear out this nut slot. We're going to get a nut on there, and I'm thinking of stringing this up and seeing if the string tension will pull the neck back up and we'll get rid of that bow. I understand why he wants to get rid of that back bow in there. Normally that means the tang on the frets is wider than the old fret wire that went on there. And what it's done is, because the tangs are wider, it's bent the neck that way ever so slightly. I've had it happen myself. I had it happen on a stainless steel refret last year. So I'm going to wait for the owner to get back to me on this. I would like to see this strung up and see what happens. We need a fret level anyway. I think the best thing to do is for me to actually clamp this overnight and see what we can do. We see how straight we can get it. With the truss rod completely loose, which it is now, I'm going to loosen it some more. That is loose. I think clamping that back, getting it into a straight position and tightening the truss rod and leaving it overnight, it's not going to harm anything. That is what I'm going to do overnight. Failing that, if that doesn't work, I'm going to get it back on the guitar, we're going to get a knot on there, we're going to get some strings on there, we're going to see if string tension is going to pull that neck up. I think it might do. If that doesn't work how I want it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to level them frets with the neck in that position. Best thing to do first is get it clamped up overnight and see what effect that has on the neck. Worst case scenario, we level these frets with the neck as it is. At least then we've got a level playing surface with the strings on there, we're going to get some tension, it's going to give us a bit of relief. And it's going to be the best thing all round. For the future, make sure you measure the tang. You want an 0.5mm tang on a Strat, not 0.54, because it makes all the 0.4s times 20, it makes basically 0.8 of a millimetre. Because it's 0.04, so it makes basically nearly a millimetre. And but what it's done is give us a very, very slight back bow there. Anyway, I'm going to do what I said. I will get back to you with an update, well, not in the morning because I'm working in the morning, Royal Mail. I will get back with an update tomorrow and let you know what we're going to do. So I did say I was not going to use any heat on this neck, but I did back clamp it overnight. I did manage to get it straight. So what I've decided to do is I've just got it clamped just a very, very tiny bit. With a little bit of relief in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place, it's an old iron, I've always used this iron for just this job. And I'm going to get some heat in there, but only a small amount, I'm not going to go mental. So I'm going to drop the heat to about halfway, because I don't want to be scorching the lacquer. So what I'm going to do is drop the heat right down. In fact, I'm going to turn it up to about a quarter or a third. I'm going to let that cool down just a little bit, and I'm just going to get a little bit of heat in there. I'm going to let the heat dissipate. This is a steel bar. It's about 3 centimetres thick or wide by about 3 or 4 millimetres thick. And I don't want to get mental hot, because if we do that, we're going to scorch the lacquer. It's already on the guitar. So we're just going to place it on there. Not too hot. Just going to place it on there, just leave it a couple of minutes, and I'm going to do it there. In fact, I'm going to turn it right now. I'm going to turn it even lower. As long as it's warm, it'll be okay. I'm going to keep an eye on it because I don't want to scorch the lacquer that's already on there. I just want to get some heat in there and just encourage the fibre to expand a little or contract or whatever it does. So that's hot. So the frets should now also get hot. And then the heat will go through the neck. A little bit of heat in there. The iron is hotter than I need it to be. So I'll turn it down again. And that's not so bad. And it's just about getting a little bit of heat through the frets into the fingerboard, just to encourage a little bit of relief. In fact, what I will find is once I let go of this clamp, the guitar, the neck is probably going to straighten. So I'm going to persevere with this for a short while. Just keep moving my iron 15-30 seconds in a certain area, and just move it. Like I say, I don't want to be scorching the fingerboard, or I don't want to be scorching the lacquer. Just want to get a little bit of heat in there. Tiny bit of heat in the frets. I mean, even better, I could hold a hot air dryer over it and just waft it across for about an hour, but then it means I've got to stand here for an hour. I don't really want to do that. Just keep checking the iron's not too hot. Right, that's not hot at all. The iron is on its coolest setting, and I could actually now just stick that on there and leave it. It's not going to scorch anything. I'm going to leave that 5 minutes. Leave it there 5 minutes, there 5 minutes. It will just probably melt the glue, soften the glue up a little bit, and let things move about. Quite confident we're going to get a nice straight neck out of this. This is one of those jobs you've got to be really patient. You don't put too much bend in anything. I mean, that neck is now more or less dead straight. We're going to put a little bit of bend here because from the 12th fret onwards we did have a dip. So I'm just going to put a little bit more bend in there. I'm thinking that's going to be pretty much okay. Feel the frets. They're warm but not hot. We're just getting a little tiny bit of heat in there. This is a great way of doing it. So you don't need the iron to be hot. It's a warm iron, it's on the lowest setting. And I'm just going to keep randomly leaving that in certain areas. Maybe over a space of 30 minutes. And I think that's really going to stand us in good stead. I'll come back and show you the results a little bit later. Okay, there have been developments with this neck and we have not been able to straighten it out. Now, admittedly, I didn't try and get a lot of heat in there, but back clamping it has not done it, and I can see it's blatant. The hump is here because the neck falls away at this end. It falls away by about half a millimetre from probably the 14th or 15th fret. So what we've decided to do is, we talked to James, we've considered getting the frets out and refretting it. Now that is not cost effective because I've already got time in this. Plus removing the frets, we're going to rip the lacquer out, we're going to have to re-lacquer it and everything. Because the idea was to go with something with a slimmer tang or less of a tang. Because I do believe he's got quite a wide tang on there. I know James says he did slightly widen the tang because they weren't holding. Which is always a case for gluing them in with super glue and clamping them in, isn't it? So what we decided to do is I'm going to level up to the 15th fret and we're going to naturally fall away down here. Now, I don't know if you're going to see it on camera, but the neck is more or less straight from this end. There's a tiny dip at that end, right up to fret 15 it just starts dipping again, but then it drops about probably 1/3 of a millimetre at this end. So we're going to level up to here, fret 15, and we're just going to natural fall away there. It's the best thing. In hindsight, if we'd have gone with a higher fret, it'd have been a lot easier just to level across the whole lot, but there's too much of a drop there. I don't want to drop 0.3 or 0.4 of a millimetre off these frets in the middle because it's going to look too odd. Now I do understand that string tension is going to give us probably a little bit of relief, but this is what I'm going to do and where I'm at right now. I told James I'm going to put a nut on, I'm going to put it back on the guitar, I'm going to get some strings on with the truss rod loose, and we're going to see what having strings on does to this neck and see if it does pull it up enough to give us some relief, because that is the problem. We don't really have any relief in this and we may only just be able to get it straight. If that's the case, and we can only just get it straight, these frets are going to have to come out anyway. But the thing is, like I say, I've already invested time in this, you know, and I'm charging him 2 hours labour for the time I've invested in this, but I've invested a lot more time. You know, because everything is not on camera. I do research and there's clamping things on. There's a lot of stuff I do off camera as well. And I'm sure he agrees it's fair for me to charge for the time I'm working behind the scenes. I've probably got about 4 hours of my actual time in this. But that's what I think I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut a nut. I've got some blanks, well, semi-blanks, bone blanks. I need to thin this one because it doesn't fit in. And these you can either fit on a curved board or a flat board. But I'm going to take this knob off there because I'm going to re-radius it so it fits the radius of the neck. Which it obviously will do. I'm just going to check that it's right, and it is right, that's fine. I'll check if it's a 7 1/4. I do believe, again, is it 7 1/4 or 9 1/2? It's 9 1/2, I think. I will check that anyway. I probably already mentioned on the video somewhere, but anyway, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be the best thing all around, and somewhere in the future, we're going to get this playable, and we're going to get the frets level, we're going to get it playable. That's what we're going to do right now, but in the future, I've said to James, look, you can just oil them frets out at your leisure and refret it again, and I'll tell you what fret wire to use. I am not convinced, I know he re-radiused the board, but I'm not convinced that he got the neck totally flat. I don't know. It could be the tang. you know, again, it's all about learning, isn't it, and about finding out what works and what doesn't. The thing is with these, look, the lacquer is right up to the frets. If I pull them out, we're going to rip the lacquer out. It's going to want to re-lacquer in and everything. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that nut cut. It doesn't fit the slot, and we're going to get back on the guitar, get some strings. I'm not going to charge for labour on that, and I'm also going to get his other one done. So at least I'm going to crack on today and get some work done. So I'll come back and give you an update soon. Okay guys, so here is what I'm going to do. I've put the neck back on the guitar. I've also put the tuners on, the string trees. Got the neck set. So the guitar is ready to get some strings on. Now what I'm going to do is, the back bow, it's a very strange back bow because it's not back bowed as such. It does seem to have a lot of fall away from fret 15, especially fret 15 here, especially probably from fret 14. It has a lot of fall away and it's natural in the neck. It's like the neck's bent just at this end. It's not too bad. We have a tiny bit of fall, probably 1/10 of a mil at this end between that and the 12th fret. So what I'm going to do is, before I decide on anything, what I'm thinking is levelling right up to fret 15, from fret 1 to fret 15, getting level there. Then this could be the natural fall away, and I'm just going to level that fall away, make sure everything's right. But what I'm going to do before that is, I'm going to get some strings on here. I'm going to bring it to string tension, get it tuned in, and hopefully that is going to give me some relief here. If it doesn't, what I'm going to do is, we're going to put this, I'm going to level these frets on the neck jig anyway. I don't use a neck jig very often. It's my version or my take on the Stu-Mat jig. And I'm going to get this strapped in really tight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to force the neck straight. The truss rod is loose. I'm going to force the neck straight, and I may just level the whole lot that way. Because I'm thinking if I get some strings on there and I get some relief, if I force the neck straight, we're going to more than get enough. So if I can get the neck dead straight, level all the frets, then under string tension get some relief, it's going to be a perfect playing surface. We're not going to have too much of a gap at this end. Now, if I don't do that, if I do the level from 1 to 15, then create the fall away, it means that this dusty end here, the frets are going to be, there's going to be more of a gap. We're going to have a higher action. Now, the owner of the guitar says he's not that bothered. He's not really a solo player, so he says he's not that bothered if the action's a bit higher from fret 15 onwards, as long as it's playable up to about fret 15, fret 16. So that probably is the best solution. It's less faff. But I am just for my own curiosity. I've put a temporary nut on there. I've cut the nut so it fits. I'm not worried about, the nut is actually too low. I'm not worried about it at the moment because that's not the nut that is going on the guitar. I will cut a nut from a blank when I actually get the guitar set up. It's just so I can get some strings on, get it under tension and just see what that does to the neck. Because if it gets us no relief, it only gets us straight, then I'll do exactly what I said. I'll level frets 1 to 15 and we'll have a bit of natural fall away there. Either way, normally when I'm leveling like this, I've got his other neck here and I've already leveled the frets and I've crowned them and I'm ready, I've just started polishing them. And that's also is. Now normally on a removable neck, I will bolt it using its own neck plate to this piece of 30mm MDF, which is fantastic. You get nice and straight and you can work on anything, you're not going to ding the body. Very, very rare are level frets on a removable neck guitar with it attached to the body, but in this case it's exactly what I'm going to do. Because that way I can get this all strapped up on the jig. So that's where I'm at, that's where I'm going to be going with it. I spent a little bit more time on this than I wanted to, but end of the day it's about getting it right and doing what is best for the client. The client did consider having it refretted again, but I can see where it's been lacquered, and the lacquer is overlapping the frets. It's why we're doing a fret level anyway. To get these frets out, there's no way we're going to do it without damaging the lacquer, because the lacquer's built up around the frets. So it will be an absolute PITA to refret this, and it will be expensive because you'll have to pay me for the hours I've already spent, plus refretting this and re-lacquering the neck and doing all that. It's going to cost you around 300 quid on top of what it already owes me for labour. It's too expensive. I've said to him, we'll get the frets level, we'll get the neck straight as we can, and we'll get the guitar playable. And if in the future he wants to refret it himself, he can do, because he knows what he's doing. He has refretted this himself. It's just he didn't consider the tang. I've offered him solutions to, because he actually widened these tangs himself, and what he's done is probably gone a bit too wide. What I like to do, well, I offered him some solutions anyway, where he could soak the fret slots in a little bit of lemon oil in there, just so they expand a little, so they hold the fret better. He could have possibly have done that, which I would have done. I tend to do that with rosewood or especially ebony boards, because ebony being so brittle and hard, I normally give the neck a good soaking for 24 hours with some oil in the slots there, and I clear the oil out, and it softens the wood up a bit, makes it easier to accept frets. So anyway, that's what I offered him for next time, but we're going to get this right, we're going to get it playable, and that's the most important thing. I will let you know exactly what I plan to do once I've got it on. Well, I'm going to get some strings on first, and once that's done, we'll get it up on my jig, and I'll let you know exactly what I am going to do. Okay, before I decide what I'm going to do with this neck, I'm going to string it up. I'm going to stick on a set of, only because I was given them, I'm going to stick on a set of Dean Marklin 946s. I'm actually going to recommend you go with a slightly heavier gauge of string on this guitar anyway. With the neck, we're having to pull the neck up straight. So I'm going to stick a set of these on with the truss rod completely loose, just to see what it does do to the neck, see if we can work with it, see if we can get any amount of relief anywhere. And even if we don't get any relief, I'm sure we will, but if we don't get any relief, we can still work with it. It's just, it depends on what these strings do, on which way I'm going to go with sorting out this neck. So I will come back, give you an update once these strings are on, and we'll see what we're going to do. Hey guys, it's good news. I've strung the guitar up with a set of Dean Marklin, very nice strings these. They're a signature series, are they? Coated strings. They're a bit thicker, they're a 946 set, so slightly heavier on the bass end. And stringing it up, getting it all right. We've got some relief in the neck, certainly enough relief to set anyway. And the action is not too shoddy at the dusty end as well, how I thought it would be, because it has pulled the neck, it's kind of pulled it back from fret 15 down. So pretty happy about that. So what I've decided to do is, I'm going to remove the neck. I am going to level the frets from 0 to 15, bring them all level. And from 15 down to the end, to fret 21 or 22, I think it's 21, we're going to have a little bit of fall away. The string tension is going to pull some relief into the guitar, and it's going to pull this side of the neck. From here onwards, it's going to pull the neck up anyway. This bit's going to stay where it is, so it's taking that kink out. The kink we've got from fret 15, it's kind of pulling it out, so I'm really quite pleased about that. One little area where I thought I might be a little bit concerned is the saddles are going to be a little bit high, but I tell you what, they're not too bad. We'll get away with that. I'm quite happy. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I will do tomorrow is I'll take the neck off. We'll get it on a piece of MDF, bolt it to a piece of MDF, and we'll crack on with getting them frets level. Another thing I'm going to do, I was going to do the blend pot on here. We're going to have a master volume, master tone, and a blend pot for bridge or neck pickup, depending on what position we're in. But the owner just says he doesn't want that. He wants a G&L Legacy passive treble bass cut or bass filter on that. So we're going to do that, and we're going to need a couple of pots, a couple of capacitors, which I've got. I've got 2 pots. We're using linear pots for tone. I'm supposed to use a 1 meg and a 500, but I'm using 2 500s because they're all I've got in stock. But that'll be absolutely fine. I've got a 0.022 cap and a 0.01 cap, and I've got a treble bleed kit, which we're going to put on the volume as well. Basically, we're just going to have a bass and treble cut. The treble cut is going to be the middle tone, and the bass cut is going to be the first tone nearest to the switch. So that's what the owner wants, so that's what I'm going to do. Also going to put on a brand new nut. I have a proper Fender blank nut made of a substance called cyclovac, which Fender use, an alternative to bone. I'll have to hand carve that, else I will carve a bone nut depending on what the guy wants. I'm thinking cyclovac will be pretty good, because it's what Fender use anyway. And all of that work is going to cost, I imagine, I think I've quoted him £185. That's a complete fret level. I've already spent 2 or 3 hours trying to get my neck straight. I'm not really charging for that. So 115 for the fret level, 35 quid for cutting, 25 quid for cutting the nut, and 45 quid for the passive treble bass cut on the tone there. That includes the price of 2 pots and a treble bleed kit, so I'm really doing him a great deal on it. I should be charging in excess of £200 for this, but I'm going to charge you 185 quid, job done. I'll chuck some strings in as well. So there you go. I'll come back and show you how we get on tomorrow. How we doing, guys? Doing something I've never done before, and this guitar, I don't even know if I mentioned it. Did I mention it earlier? I can't remember. I can't remember what I videoed last time I did a video. I've been working really hard lately, especially for Raw Mail. I didn't finish till what time did I get back to the office today? 4:30 I got back to the office today from doing my rounds, and I'm tired. But anyway, going to crack on. This guitar, so we're off for neck for a bit. We know what we're doing with the neck, and we're going to concentrate on not just the body, the electrics. We're doing something completely different here. We're going to do a wiring job, a complete rewire, and we're doing G&L Legacy PTB system. I'd never heard of it till the owner of this guitar mentioned it to me. And it's a passive treble bass system, and it gives you a treble and bass cut. So what we're going to do is, volume is going to be volume, one of these is going to be a bass cut, one's going to be a treble cut, instead of just having tone. The options are amazing, they're really good, and I've got some of the gear I need. In fact, I've got most of the gear I need. I've got 2 pots in there, and I should be using a 1 meg pot with a bass cut and a 500k pot for the treble cut, but I haven't got a 1 meg pot at the moment, so I'm going to wire it in just using 2 500k pots. And I've got an Alpha 500 tone pot, and I've got a CTS tone pot. And when my new pots arrive, I've ordered some 1 meg ones. I've ordered an Alpha and CTS, and I'll probably go with the Alphas in this just to see what they're like. But I'm going to wire it all up. I've got capacitors that are close to the range. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fitting. I should be diagram. It's not easy. There you go. Capacitor there. Capacitor there. We're going to put a treble bleed on the volume, and that's really it. Really simple wiring. And I'm going to do that today. I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to dismantle the guitar. We're going to have a look at the bits I do actually have. I do have a. I've got one left of the. I can't think about what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. Treble bleed kit. I've got one here. Got one pre-made. I was saving that for a friend of mine, but I've ordered some new parts so he can have one out with new parts. That's the treble bleed. I'm going to stick around the volume. Got a couple of capacitors here for the treble bass cut. And there's the 2 pots I'm going to use, one Alpha, one CTS. So I'm going to crack on, get that in, and I'm going to plug it in and give it a little test. So let me dismantle some stuff. I'll get the soldering iron out, and we'll crack on and get some of this done. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start dismantling stuff. I've got my Hakko soldering station here. Bought this after contemplating buying one for a few years. Actually bought one, I think I bought it sometime last year. And we're going to desolder the jack plug because we can leave the wires on. Not soldered on very well, so someone else had to go in here before. 400 centigrade should be plenty of heat to melt the solder. There you go, get rid of that. Clean all that up later. That's just so I can remove everything from the guitar. I'll have one more wire to remove from the earth down here. And that is, get rid of this one. Should be warm enough, 400. If not, we'll just snip it. You know what, safe faffing about, I'm just going to snip that. We'll resolder that on later. Got plenty of wire there. Okay, so we've got an 8-way import type switch, something I didn't envisage, so I'm going to find out how I'm going to wire that. That's going to make things a little bit different. I only need to use one side. What? Just figure out where these 3 wires go for the pickups. They're all coming off anyway. They're all coming off that switch. Pick up. That's brilliant. And we just need to use that one. Right, I'm going to get rid of all these wires, get rid of these pots, and I'll come back, show you where we are. Okay guys, it's next day because I decided to wait for the new pots to arrive, and they did arrive today, and we've got the wiring mod done. So how it works is we put a treble bleed on the volume. We've got 500k linear tone pot there and a 1 meg linear tone pot there. This is the treble cut, this is the bass cut. We have different value capacitors on there. This is a 22 NF or nanofarads. This is a 2.2. So this in large numbers would be a 0.022 UF, and this would be a 0.0022 UF. And there you go, and it all looks fine. I've tested it working, it works fine. All I've got to do is wire in the jack. So two pots, a couple of capacitors, treble bleed kit on there. Not a super expensive mod. Pots aren't super expensive, and it's all done. So looking at it from the top, we have a master volume, we have a treble cut. So from this number 1 is down to nothing and 10 is maximum. 10 is maximum, down to 1 or 0. So there you go. Bass cut, treble cut, volume cut. Everything on 0 there. Full volume, full treble, full bass. All the normal selections work. So really easy mod. One I'm going to offer to potential new clients or any old clients even. Really nice one, very popular one. If you want to look it up, look for G&L Legacy with PTB system. Fantastic stuff. Back with the neck. And we're going to level the frets. Thing is with this, and this is a word of warning to anyone who's going to refret a guitar, right, check your radius first and check that your radius is even along the whole length of the neck. Now this, I was hoping it'd be a 9.5 inch radius, but it's not. It's supposed to be a 7.25 inch radius. Yet again, it's not. It is a lot tighter than a 7.25. That's a 7.25 radius gauge. 7.25. But it's fine in the middle till you get to the edges, and it rolls down at the edges. There's a gap. So it rolls right down at the edges. That's the edge there. That's what would happen. If I push it right down to this edge here, that's what would happen. So it's not even a great 7.25. So I'm going to have to radius this just to no radius. I'm not using a radius, but I'd like to use a 7.25 leveling beam, but I can't. So I'm just going to have to use a flat beam. The problem with that is if I use that there, it's not going to match the radius, because the radius goes up that way and it goes down that way. And it's going to take too much material off the middle. So I'm going to use, I'm going to find one. Flat radius beam, like so, perfectly level, and I'm just going to scoot across. And I'm only leveling 15 frets to start with. So what I'm going to do is mark up the frets. So the guy who refretted this didn't check radius. I always re-radius the board before I put new frets in. The radius on this is probably nearer 6 inch than 7.25. But anyway, I'm going to do my best. Going to level up to fret 14. Beyond 14, I'm going to create some fall away. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do, I'm using red because I don't really want to be touching these straight away. Oh, red ain't going to work. Is that gone? Kind of gone. I'll bin that. Useless. Should go for that with green one. These whiteboard markers, they run out so quick. Black ones will last forever. All the other colours will go in about a week. There you go, I've got a green one working. If this was my guitar and I'd messed it up, I'd be taking these frets out, I'd re-radius the board and I'd refret it, then I'd have it lacquered again. Now I'm not one for lacquered necks anyway. I probably wouldn't lacquer it again. I'd have it unlacquered, I'd have it oiled. So there we go. can't do any more than that. What I must make sure, something I don't do, is I don't remove more material from this end than I do this end. I want it to be quite even. It's quite easy to remove more material from these frets because you're doing less frets here. Where you get concentrated, you're doing more, so it tends to want to lean back a bit and remove more at that end. So I'm going to go nice and steady because I want them level. The radius doesn't matter. The radius is going to be what the radius is going to be. And we're going to concentrate on the middle because it's not touching some of these frets up here, it's only touching the bottom ones. So we're going to just concentrate at this end for now. This was always going to be the problem anyway. Good thing about this is it's touching the black frets but not the green ones. So let's see where we are. Okay, we're touching these, missing a couple of these. But oh no, it's getting there. It's just touching that green one, but not any of the others. That's really, really good news. I'm going to actually take a file, a leveling file to this. In particular, this one from Allsop Guitars. I can't remember the name of the guy. Chris Allsop, I think it is. I think it may be. Because this will level the frets. I'm just going to go up to 14 or 15 here. And this will remove material. Don't forget, we're also removing lacquer. You may think I'm being a bit brutal. Trust me, I'm not. These frets need levelling, especially in this part. The playing surface is actually the frets, not the fingerboard. So the level needs to be the frets, not the fingerboard. So I'm going to make the level across the frets. You can see there we've moved quite a bit of material here, which is exactly what I wanted to do. There will be no lacquer on these frets now. I'm going to grab a brush, where I remember where I put it. Here it is. Just going to gently brush, because I don't want to brush it on the table. But you see there. See now we've got all the frets. So we've got a little bit of lacquer on that one. So we're just going to keep going across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a 240 grit in a minute. We're going to smooth all these off. We still have enough fret left to profile the frets. These are not going in perfectly, so just be a little bit careful around here. But I'm quite happy with what I've done there. So again, let's go across now with a leveling beam and smooth it off. All about getting the lacquer off. Oh, they're a lot smoother. That 240 grit's a lot better. Still feel a little bit of lacquer there. I'm going to grab a file to see what a difference it makes. Just going to see if I can just smooth over these. It's not the final level anyway yet, so I haven't got to worry about. But oh, that's nice. making sure we've got the lacquer off. A lot smoother. So I can't use a radius beam because it's not going to match the radius. It's a 7 1/4 across the middle, but it gets nearer a 6 at the edges, and there's no point using one. Lacquer tends to build up and clog the file. That's nice anyway. And then feel smooth, but just a little bit more on that one. That's nice. So what's happening at the edges are dipping down, they're going down a bit from here and here. You can tell now looking at them. So all in all, not a brilliant fret job. Not terrible. I mean, he's got the frets in beautifully, it's just he's not re-radius the board. I always look at the board to see if it needs re-radiusing. Okay, it's not always possible on a lacquered one, but this has been re-lacquered, so and that's right up to fret 14. Now roll smooth, a little bit of lacquer just on this edge. All smooth up to that point. That feels pretty good. Okay, that's not bad at all. So let's have a look where we are level wise. I hope you enjoy me keeping this camera running. You're seeing what's happening in real time. It's not something's happening then I'm turning the camera off, coming back to it and saying this is what I did and I fixed it, blah 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 blah. You're actually seeing me doing the job. I'm not expecting these to be proper level now, but we are going to get there with the leveling beam. So that's where I want the level to be, up to fret 14. Then we're going to create fall away from 15 down. Well, actually from 14 down. In fact, let's level up to 15. So what I'm going to do with that first, I'm going to remove the lacquer from fret 15. Okay. Right, now I'm removing lacquer because it's clogging the file up. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to level all of these frets up to 15, and we don't want to be touching fret 16, so I'm going to mark these up in green again, and then we can create a fall away from fret 15, which I was going to do initially anyway. I talked to my friend Danny Lint about this. Danny Lint is Leicestershire Luthier.co.uk. He apprenticed under Nigel Roberts, what an amazing guy Nigel Roberts is. He's taught me many things. And Nigel was his protege, his apprentice, and Danny's now taken over, we're good friends. We'll meet up now again. And I mentioned to Danny what I was going to do with this. He says, yep, seems like you got it pretty well sourced, it's what he'd do. It looks like a good fix, so just clean. So we're going to see how level we are. I want these all to go silver, all of these frets. And there you go, and right up to fret 14. They are all silver. Fret 15 still needs a little bit more work. Let me just go with a flat file. So we've achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve, and that was to level the frets up to fret 15. Now this is a really good file. It's super smooth, it's super flat, and this will just help things along. Really happy with how that's gone. So I have enough material to recrown these frets, which we always were going to anyway. Fret 16 down, hardly touched at all. So let's just mark these up again. We've got to level these, but we're going to create some fall away with these. I'm going to file level these. I'll not be using a leveling beam, I'll be using a flat file. So let's repeat what we're doing. We're leveling all of these frets right up to 14, even 15. We're going to create a fall away. We're going to mask over these first 14 frets, and we're going to create fall away from 15 down to the end there. A little bit of lacquer still on those edges there. That's because these edges are rolling down. It's a shame about that, but we'll make it good. Also, not so bad, it's just near side that's quite bad. So one more go. And what I'm looking to do is just a few strokes now, just to get these all back to silver. Like I say, the level is over the frets, not over the fingerboard, because the fingerboard is slightly backbowed anyway. I did tell James that we're going to create the level on the frets. It's going to play absolutely fine. It's just in the future he wants to be mindful of the radius and getting the neck flat. Always radius aboard, especially if you're going to spray it again. Get the board radius. Don't go putting frets in something you've not checked the radius on. So now what I'm looking for is for these frets to go silver in just a few strokes of the beam. And we're there. I'm going to worry about the edges because the edges aren't right anyway. And there you go. All these frets right up to 14 are silver across the whole width of the fret. Those frets are level. We're just starting to get a little bit, removing a little bit on the green bits, but not much at all, nothing to worry about. So, a grab my fret rocker. I'm just going to check these frets. I know these are level. So what we're going to do is get a little piece of tin can over fret 13. We'll tape it over. And we're going to create some fall away from fret 15 down. And those frets are all level right up there. These aren't going to be level at this end. But that is fantastic. It's exactly where it needs to be. All of these frets right up to here are now level. We're now going to create fall away, which means we're going to go slightly down towards this last fret, ever so slightly. I dare say I could do it with a file, so I'm going to have a go right now. And I want to be going 15 all the way down. Got to be really, really spot on with what I'm doing here. But it's not a difficult job. It's not a difficult job at all. So what we're doing now is, these frets, this is going to be the highest, and these are all going to go slightly lower right until we get to the last one where we're doing 1, 2, 3, we're doing 7 frets. I know Danny and Nigel do fall away from fret 12, I do it from fret 15 or from fret 14. So we're going to check. Flat side down. I'm concentrating just on these last 3 frets because it'll bring all these in line anyway. Got far wrong way, cutting the wrong way. I'm not cutting the wrong way, it's easy to do it this way. Because I'm now pushing down on this end. The important thing is getting this guitar playable. The owner can have a go at refretting it somewhere down the line and doing it properly next time. Once you go and touch me while I was refretting it, I could have helped him out a little bit. So I'm just going to check the levels again. Up to 4 to 12, 13, 14. That's good. I'll go along and check these. They're getting there, that's pretty good. So let me, black pen, where's the black pen? Right there. Don't really want to be touching fret 14. My wife just come in, I'll just pause the video a minute. My wife, you heard there, she don't talk like that, honestly. It's just, she's yoo-hooing. So I certainly want to maintain the level going up to fret 14. So I may, just to compromise it a little bit by going into fret 14 there, but let's check from fret 12, 13, 14, and that's still level. That's great news. And there you go, rest of the frets are all level, but we have created some fall away. And that's absolutely fine. I'm not worried about that at all. So quite some deep scratches on these frets. We'll get rid of all of those scratches. Oh, that's really high on this corner. I wondered why that was so high. That makes a lot of sense. That's really, really high. Listen. So we're going to concentrate on this one. That's because the frets have been put in unevenly and they're bending down right here. Or bending down. At the ends, it's probably haven't done too far. We've gone kinked over like that, and this side kinked over. So I'm going to really be quite brutal with this one. I'm going to just check for rock again because I need to get these right. That's not so bad again. Oh, that's a lot higher there. Okay, again, going to be quite brutal. Really concentrating on this one fret. I'm really pushing down on this file. I've removed material there, but not enough. Let's go with that. Doesn't remove what I need to get rid of. Nothing will. Oh, really getting there now. That's great. Feels a lot better. Okay, check again from 12 up. And this is about as much as I'm going to remove from these frets. We'll level up to 14, which is brilliant. This should be creating fall away now from this end. Or we have created fall away because I've taken more off this end than I have the other. I was a little bit high on that edge. A little bit high there. There's these edges, it's not major because the edges are not going to be playing on there, but just give it a vibe. Just concentrate on this edge. There you go. We're now not getting as much resistance. So once we get no resistance, we know we are level and we're exactly where we need to be. Like there, they're just gliding across. That's fantastic. Going at it a little bit more brutally than I normally would because the fret's in such a mess, or the neck's in such a mess. That now feels great. So there we go. I want to get rid of. that feels pretty good. Okay, I can work with that. Bit of lacquer build up on the edges of the frets, but not on the top anymore. That one's a little bit rough. Fret 14, I can see in the light there's a little bit of lacquer still left on there. I think I'm just feeling what's built up to the edge. So, okay, one more time. We may find that these are just level all the way across there. I still think there's going to be some fall away at that far end. Also, I would have taped up these frets with some 3mm tape before I sprayed the neck. And then you've got lacquer on top of the frets, then you wouldn't have had to remove it. Then you might not have needed a fret level. But I'm doing them all in black now. I'm not expecting these to be level, I'm expecting them to be level up to fret 14 or 15, that's it. Okay, let's see where we are. And we are level up to fret 14, just skimming over a few of these. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to check the level at this end, but I am pressing down more on this edge, just to make sure we've got a level. And that will do us. That's fantastic. Pleased about that. So I'm going to have a look. Clean all this up in a minute. I'm taking a not straight edge, 25.5 inch. I know that there's going to be fall away there, and there is fall away there, and that's fantastic. So I'm going to just place this on top of the frets, so where we need to be. I'm going to move across just so we sat on the top of the frets, and let's see where we're straight up to and where the fall away is. So we're on the top of the frets all the way up to fret 14, probably even 15, and it's just coming off the frets. That's fantastic. We have fall away created from fret 16 down to 21. We have a very slight fall away. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to do. I'm really pleased about that. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up, get it taped up, and I'm going to reprofile these frets or recrown these frets. With the fingerboard all taped up and the frets separated, just the frets showing, we are going to recrown these frets. By recrown, what I mean is where we've levelled them and they've gone flat, like so, we're going to rebuild that crown going along this way. See the flat spots along there? You'll probably see better when I've got some pen on there. I'm going to show you how to do a couple, and I'm going to crack on and do the rest off camera. So we're going to pen over the fret, and what we'll see how flat they are. What we're looking for is a nice thin black line down the centre, and that's going to be the contact point where the string hits the fret. We're going to want it about 1/2 mil. Now, in the old days I would have used a 3-cornered file, but we have better tools at our disposal nowadays. And my tool of choice is this Z file from Stumac. This will cost £125, it's worth every penny. If you look closely, it has a long cutting edge and a short cutting edge that side. Flip it 180 degrees, then it has a short cutting edge and a long. And it's a diamond file, both sides. And what this does is, this will cut each side, a shallow and a deep cut on that side. Flip it over, it'll go shallow and deep following side. And I'll show you exactly how it works. And that will start to rebuild that crown for us. So just a few strokes. 4 strokes there, turn it over. 4 strokes there, and that has left us a nice thin black line down the centre. Now if there's any unevenness in there, we need to get rid of it, and I'm going to use my proper crowning file, which has got a groove in it. I use the correct width side, and this will remove any burrs, any unevenness. Edge over edge. How good's that? Clearly cut on the forward stroke, and there you go. And that has perfectly recrowned that fret. Now I'm going to take a fret rocker and I'll find it, just to show that we have not removed any height. Okay, I don't know where the fret rocker is, I'll use something similar. There you go. Let me get the fret rocker. Much better tool. Maybe I'll put it away. I put it away. Just repeat the process, just show you again, and we'll see how we get a nice thin black line. So there you go. Always clean the file. And there you go. We're just going to check. No rock. There you go. We're going to do the next fret along. Wrong file. That's a file. You hear it really grit, it really grinding there. That's because I haven't filed the edges yet. Let's go again. Get the correct file on the job. Turn it over. Nice thin black line down the centre. Tidy it up. And we check the height again. Check one forward. And there you go. We've not touched the top of the fret. I'm going to show you one more. There's a good reason for me showing you three. In fact, I'll show you this one. Let's go again. Clean the file. The reason I've shown you this one is, we can show you the height. Right, I'm going to check one back and one forwards, just to show we've not removed any height from the top of the fret. So we've got three done. I will dub the ones that are done. And there you go, it really is that simple. Might as well just do one more while we're on camera. I'll get these first four done. This file is amazing, it's worth every penny. Cost me 125 quid. I've done about 15 fret levels with this, or refrets, and it's still sharp. There you go, perfect. And that's first four done. I'm going to crack on, get the rest done. Once that's done, we can move on to the next stage. Right, I'm now ready to polish up the frets, but before I do that, I'll take some 400 grit, which is quite coarse, not mega coarse, but a little bit coarse. And I always do the first run in the 400 grit just to remove the scratches that are all this way. It'll just prep these for getting polished properly. So I'll take some 400 grit, which is quite coarse for this, but not too coarse. And all we're going to do is just go across the frets. This is going to do a couple of things. It's going to prep the frets for proper polishing. It's also going to remove the lacquer, if there's any left on top of the frets, and especially the build-up at the sides. And it's going to be nice and smooth. And it's going to give us a nice surface to polish later on with the 6 grits of paper. Now, when I polish these proper, I'm going to go through with 6 grits of paper, as mentioned, from 600 grit right up to 2000 grit. So the grits will be 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000. And what that's going to do is it's going to remove the scratches more and more each time, but come in with a finer grit. And it's going to remove, all the scratches will be removed, and it's going to bring the frets up to a glass-like finish. We're going to look absolutely pristine. That's a lot of work. You've got 21 frets times, I'm using this 400 grit as well. So you've got 21 times 7, plus you've got I'll finish off polishing with finest grade steel wool, which will bring them to a beautiful shine after I've used all the paper. So we're going to polish in 8 lots of 21. That's 168 different polishes, 168 frets I've got to polish in effect. So it takes a while, as you can see. Now this is the easiest part because this is just such a rough polish these, just to get any crap off the top there and get them prepped for the proper polish. Can't get the words out proper this morning, can I? I'm just going to bring the guitar up to the camera in a second, just so you can see what I'm doing with these frets, because if you look closely you'll see there's a rough area right down the centre where I've filed it this way, and I'm going to get rid of that. And then once I've done that, if you look here, I've got rid of those lines coming that way, most of them, because we're polished that way and it's prepping them ready for the proper polish. So let's try and get out where it was. That's pretty close, I think. That's pretty close to where it was. And so we're removing these rough tops. We're only going to polish one way. We want to get the top and get into the sides or into the edges there. Wet the finger. Shouldn't wet the finger, I should spit on it because it's aluminium and the aluminium is highly poisonous. But anyway, wetting the back of my finger helps me to grip sandpaper better. You see now all this is coming off, it's brilliant. So this is polishing prep, this is not actually polishing proper. If you think this is easy, you want to try this job yourself. If you're not used to it, just make your arm ache. I'm quite used to it, so it's not so bad for me. But it can be a bit tedious. What I will do is I'll have some music or something on, or I'll listen to some audio while I'm doing all this, and it helps the time fly by. And really, if you really get into this, you can get it done. You could do it in an hour if you really wanted to get into it, but a couple of hours on this, hour and a half. It's the most boring part of the job in a way, but it's really rewarding when you get to peel off the tape and see how good these frets are once you polish them proper. Something else I'm going to do, which I'll show you in a minute, I'm just going to roll over the edges of the bevels, which I'm going to have to re-bevel. Not re-bevel, but just roll around the edges of these frets because they're not perfectly round after levelling them. So we're going to re-crown the edges, so to speak. I'm going to show you how I do that in a second. But that is, the frets prepped for beveling and polishing. So let me bring the camera just into a different area. I'm going to bring it there because I just want to show you something in this area. And that's pretty good. That ain't. That's pretty good there. Bring it in a little closer. Grab my Swiss file. Number 4 cut, very smooth but very sharp. And there it is. Fantastic file. This Swiss made, if you can read that, by Valorbe. There's 2 names on there. It's Glardon, G-L-A-R-D-O-N, Glardon and Valorbe. It's my favourite file. It is so smooth but so sharp. And then we do have one safe edge. Safe edge down. What we're going to do is we're going to just roll over these beveled edges like so. 1 cut, 2 cut, 3. And that's just rolling over these little D-shaped edges, ready for rolling over with some sandpaper in a minute. So it's just like I say, 1, 2, 3, ever so gentle. And once that's done, we'll roll over with a 400 grit. It's just going to soften those edges. And already that's fine. We can go this way if we want. You could just do this. Which is going to soften the edges with these fret ends. And that's fine, I don't need to do the final. Just soften up with this. And it is putting scratches on the edges, we're not worried about that, we'll get rid of those in a bit. And then I can just go across again, wet the finger, and just remove those scratches on the edges there. And these frets are now ready. I don't need to use a file. If I'm doing it from scratch, I would use a file. I just realised I don't need to do it. I don't need to be that intensive. So I'm just going across the frets again to remove those scratches that I've just put in on these edges. So a lot of work to be done. I'm going to crack on, get it all done, get it done off camera. I'll be using 6 grits of paper, like I say, and I'll come back and I'll show you the results in a bit. Quick progress report. I am, just get out of the way a minute, I am 2 grits in, or 2 grits proper. I don't count the first 400 grit really as polish because it's just prepping for a polish. But I've already been across with the 600 grit and the, I say 800 grit, that's 600 grit, and the frets are looking nice and smooth. So next one, 1000 grit, noted by a number 10 there in the corner. I was right on them before I cut it up, so I know where I am. And I'm just going to show you exactly how I polish the frets. Bear in mind we've already done the bevels, so they're fine, they're nice and smooth anyway. And again, spit on my finger just to get a good grip on the back of the paper. And I'm going to start, I'm just going to polish over the top, into the sides, this side, into the side, the other side, back over the top. And that is going across with another grit. Move to the next one. Same again. And you've just got enough paper, you'll get about 6 or 7 at that end, 6 or 7 at that end, and 6 or 7 in the middle, so just enough for 21 frets. But concentrate more on the top because the sides are already polished now, so as you go with finer grits you concentrate more on the top. The edges don't really need polishing because they're untreated. So there you go, it really is this simple. And I'm going across the top and into the corners. You can tell by how much darker the tape is getting. It's why we cover it in tape, to keep the fingerboard clean, also to stop us getting any marks in the wood. So there you go, it really is that simple, but it is time consuming. So I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get these all done, and I'll come back when we're, well, more or less when we've got them done. Just finishing up, and these frets are amazing. I've used the 6 different grits of sandpaper. And I'm finishing off with the finest grade steel wool. What I do with steel wool is I go down the sides just to polish up the edges of the bevels, then I go across, and I've got 3 more to do. It's just a matter of getting over the top and into the corners at the same time. So over the top, into the corners far side, into the corner near side, and back over the top. And these are like glass, they are amazing. So rewarding to get to this stage, to see the fruits of your labour. And look at that, so good. People who tell you shouldn't use steel wool on frets, tell them, not true mate. Nothing brings them up to a better shine than finest grade steel wool once they're all done. This is grade 0000, super fine steel wool. I've been using it for years. Obviously if you're using it on a guitar with a set neck or a glued in neck, cover your pickups with a good tape. I use Scotch 3M low tack blue tape like this. Really, really good stuff. Well, it's not expensive. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive, if you know what I mean. I think I pay about 20 quid for 3 rolls. But 3 rolls last me well over a year. And there are those frets, and they look absolutely fantastic. You have no idea. Let's just see if I can bring them up. They are amazing. And the best part of this whole process is peeling off the tape. So let's just see, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. Right. Could alter the camera, not alter the camera, be alright there. So we're just going to peel it back and you'll see why I put strips underneath. It's so we can get to this part and this stage and we can just pull up the tape like so. And that way we can remove the tape really, really easily, like so. Again. Wait till you see. I've got to clean up the fingerboard yet. A little bit of cleaning to do, but so rewarding. Don't worry if we leave a bit of tape on there, it's still relatively easy to get off. Look at that. Just peel this off, we might get this all off in one piece. And that is it, and that is all done, and that just looks amazing. Those frets are superb. Oop. I should zoom out, shouldn't I, just a little bit. There you go, you're going to get a much better idea of how wonderful these frets look. Look at that. They are superb. That's it. Moving on, we now need to cut a nut, and I have a blank nut here, which I'm going to carve by hand to fit this slot with the correct radius. Now the radius is nowhere near enough for this guitar, so what I've got to do is put a piece of sandpaper on the radius of the neck, and I'm going to file this or sand this to the radius. Now I can't show you how I do it because my hand will be in the way, but we need that on the radius, and I'm going to push this backwards and forwards over the paper until I match the radius, and I've got to remove quite a bit from underneath. So I'm going to crack on with doing that, because what I want is, if the radius is wrong, we're going to have gaps in the edge there, and the radius of this fingerboard, as mentioned, is not right. It's 7.5 there, but it kind of goes down to a 6, so we need more of a gradient in this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove some material. I've already removed some material from the centre with a file, and I'm just going to go backwards and forwards. You can't see what I'm doing, but you know what I'm doing, if you know what I mean. And this is going to remove material where I need it to be removed, just so I can get this nut to fit. Because at the end of the day, I don't want any gaps at the edges because it's going to look wrong. So that is starting to take shape. I'll just be dry fitting and just having a look where we are at that edge. That's not so bad there, and that's not too bad there, but we do still have a big gap. So it's a matter of taking a file and removing material from where I need to remove it. Just rough. You see the dial, you see the bone dust. These stink when you carve by. This is bone. It stinks when you carve bone. But needs must. Has to be done. The reason I'm doing it further up the neck is I've got a wider part of the neck up here. And it's not easy, but I will persevere. We'll soldier on until we get it right, because it needs to fit. This might work at this end a little bit better. It is taking shape. Fits lovely this side now. And it's so close to being there on this side. Just need to remove some more from this edge. And I'm going to do it by hand and eye. That's feeling pretty good. So yeah, a bit painstaking this job, but you'll get there, just persevere with it. You might be wondering why I'm not using a curved file. Well, I don't need to. I get the curve using the sandpaper. I'll just get it close to where I need it to be. Don't remove too much material either from the centre, so keep checking. Oh, that's looking pretty good. This side is nice, and that side is nice. Oh, we have a relatively good fit. Not perfect, but we could bang some wood, some of this dust in the gap, just to make it look neat. End of the day, because it's not radius right, we're not going to get it perfectly right. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take a little bit more off this edge, get as close as I can. That's going to be there. That's going to be pretty much perfect. Just get to where I want to be. Get that the right way round. Keeps popping out, you see, because I've got less material on this nut now to work with, so I'm going to have to just go this way. I'll just hold it a little bit lighter. There you go, that's pretty good. I know you can't see, but you can see the method I'm using. Try and get it to where we need to be. I can just hold that there, and it's just a matter of, I don't want to be scratching the frets or slipping with this because I've got these so beautifully polished. There you go. Hoping you can see a little bit of that. And that is going to be probably the best I can get it. And it should be fine. And that is a very good fit. Perfect this side. So a little bit not quite right this side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 3mm file. I'm just going to carve a little bit of wood away. Not too much. And that should make all the difference. And that, my friends, is a really good fit. I don't know if you can see, we've got far much more bone or nuts there than we're actually going to need. It's really high, it fits nice. Still need to remove just a little bit more from this side. Again, I'm going to remove wood rather than bone. And we're there. And that, my friends, is brilliant. So I'm just going to carve this nut now. I'm going to do it off camera. Going to get the width right. Once it's right, we're going to glue it in, and then we're going to come back. We're going to carve the nut while it's on the guitar. There are a couple of menial tasks I have to do before I start cutting the nut. Now you'll see I have the nut glued in with Gorilla super glue. I went to the shop and any super glue would have done, and they only had this stuff. It's a little bit thicker than normal. It's not runny like I wanted, but it's perfect for gluing in a nut because the glue stays where you put it, not with the thin stuff where you just put a bit on, it goes everywhere. So anyway, the nut is glued in. Looks really nice. It's I filed it to the right width, so it's really smooth at the transition of the edges there. So we're going to put the neck back on. I'm going to put the tuners back on. Once that's done, I'm going to move over to the nut cutting bench over there, and we're going to start carving the nut. So to carve it up properly, we're going to need strings on. But I'm going to actually just start carving it before I put the strings on, because I'm thinking these spacings are probably a little bit wider than I would actually like, so I'm going to bring them in a little bit. So I'm going to carve these slots off the nut. I'm going to smooth it all off, and we're going to recarve those slots. I've got plenty of excess nut on there. It's a bone nut. Basically, we're treating this as a bone blank. Now, for me to fit a bone blank to your guitar, I'd normally charge you in the region of, including the nut, £60 I'd have thought. 60, £65, depending on the guitar. I'm charging nowhere near that for this. In fact, I think I've charged him 25 quid for fitting this nut. And it's cut from a blank, and that's including the price of the nut. I've knocked him a lot of money off on this guitar, because if I'd have charged him full whack, he'd have just said refret it. I've knocked money off there, I've knocked money off on the electrics, I'm not charging full price for the electrics, and I've not charged him for trying to straighten the neck the 3 or 4 hours I spent doing that on the first few days I had it. So I've knocked him a considerable amount of money off. He's still paid a decent rate for the guitar, but at the end of the day it's about him going home happy. So, where are we now? Goto tuners that he sent me in the post. I'm going to stick those on in a minute. Need to make sure I've got all of the bits for those, which I have, because everything always goes in a pot. So let's get all these gubbins out. I need 6 of these with washers. That one's not got a washer, so we'll use that. There you go. 6 of those. Then we're going to want 6 screws for the tuners on the back side. I'm hoping these are the ones, so only 6 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6. So everything's there. Don't matter where these go, because I've tightened them all the same. I'm just going to get them in for now. I'm not tightening them yet, we're just going to get them on there. There's one that needs a washer putting on. I was able to leave the string retainers. Is that what they're called? String retainers? I forget what they're called. String trees, that's them. I was able to leave them on there because they weren't as high as the nut anyway, so that's one less thing to remove. I do believe that the owner, James, doesn't use a tremolo, so we're going to block that. We're not even blocking it off, we're just going to tighten the springs right up. One less hassle for me later. It's a very, very nice guitar. It's such a shame that he made some elementary simple mistakes on the refret. Like, for instance, I would not have lacquered it until I'd leveled the frets. And when lacquering it, I wouldn't have sprayed over the frets. I'd have taped over the frets with some 3mm tape, then sprayed it, and you'd have still got the spray coming up the edges of the frets, but not onto the top of the fret. And the frets would have been levelled if you'd have done them first. I'd have certainly made sure the radius was perfect before I put any new frets in. Wood does shrink and grow and warp and what have you. But anyway, too late for that now. End of the day, I'm doing a cracking job on this. It's going to play beautifully. The actions are going to be absolutely fine. We're just both going to know that he hasn't got a perfectly straight neck. Doesn't mean we can't work with it. I've got a not straight Warmouth neck that I refretted with stainless steel. And I'm going to do pretty much a similar job to this on that. And I'm going to stick it on one of my Japanese Fender, Japanese bodies. I've got a telly body and a Strat body. Both Japanese, both real Fender, and I have two warm-up necks, one Strat, one telly. Just going to check we've got the right. Yeah, we've got the right screw spanner there. Right, okay, so let's make sure we've got these lined up. Pretty good, have it all over the place there. You can tell by eye. Normally I set a rule at the back, but you don't need one. You can set these by eye. Let's crack on, get these in. Some people have expressed a preference to me filming virtually everything and why I just prattle on and talk. I was never quite sure if that's the right thing to do. It probably isn't on all my videos, but I've just released a video on a Rickenbacker copper replica. Someone's basically coming and attacking on there. It's not replica, it's a bloody blatant copper, or blah blah blah, whatever. End of the day, it's a Rickenbacker, Chinese made Rickenbacker, or Rickenbacker, it is a copper. But it's not used, it's not there to hoodwink anyone. It's not for sale, it's for a performing artist. I know him as Andy Scott. I've been doing his guitars for years. And he started a new tribute act, Paul Weller tribute act, and he calls himself a Weller fella. And he wanted a guitar that looked like Paul Weller's Rickenbacker. But he didn't want a real Rickenbacker. He says, because if it gets knocked off its stand or people pour it on stage and it gets broke, he's going to be annoyed. So he went and bought a copper. Half decent copy, but he upgraded it with some proper pickups. Got all the right stickers on there, a proper stop tail piece, which cost him a lot of money. He wanted me to get it as good as I could possibly get it. I redid the electrics, everything, put the new pickups in, put the new stop tail piece. So it looks the part, but we're not trying to hoodwink anyone by saying it is a Rickenbacker, because that's not what it's about his act. And I've already got people coming on the video attacking me. Well, let them get on here, don't mind me. I'm not trying to rip anyone off. I am against Gibson guitars myself. Chinese copies of Gibsons, don't like them at all. And they're a false economy, because time you've got them upgraded to play right, you could have gone and bought yourself a second-hand Gibson anyway. Why do you want something that's not really one, which is made of inferior parts and inferior quality to make it look the part? It'll never be any good. Anyway, there we go. Tuners are on. Nut blank is on there. I'm going to move over to the other bench before we get strings on. And I'm going to start carving into the nut. First we'll get some tape on there, so we don't ding anything or dig into anything. So a piece of Scotch flame tape, low tack. I'll just need a couple of pieces, just so if I slip with a file, which I'm not going to, but if I do, it's not going to ding anything. So there's that. There and there, and I'm going to start carving into this nut, get it to the shape I roughly want, and then we'll come in, we'll get some proper slots marked out. Just put a little fold in that, so when I come to peel it off, I've got something to pull up to peel it. Just save faffing about later. So I'm going to move this over, we're going to start carving into this, get it all shaped. I'm probably not going to film it all, I'll film little bits of it. Rough carving the nut. I've taped a little piece of paper underneath just so I can catch some of this dust, because I can always use that bone dust again in the future for gap filling or for repairing a damaged nut slot, or if I cut a nut slot too deep one day, I could always bang some nut dust in there or bone dust in there and some super glue and fix it. But anyway, I'm going to rough shape the nut. I've not drawn anything, I've got no markings on there, I'm just going to do it by hand and eye. And this is, I'm using this 3-corner file because it's one of my sharpest files. It removes a lot of material quite quickly. That's the reason I'm using this file, because I'm using the wrong file there. And all I'm going to do is basically rough shape the nut to how I want it. I'm going to cut it slightly higher than I need it. Final shaping I'll do with a better file than this. I just want to remove these slots so I can carve new ones. I need to make this bench a little bit sturdier. I'm thinking of putting some blocks in some corners and gluing and screwing them in just to make it a little bit more sturdy. It's a good bench, but not quite sturdy enough. You see here where I'm removing the original slots. To make sure I'm not taking it too low. And I'm slightly angling the file back, but not as much as the original nut. You see why I have this piece of paper on there now. I'm scraping the dust onto the paper. I can go and collect that in a minute. See more of what I'm doing. If I cut too deep, I'll take this down too much. I'll be starting again with a new blank. And I don't have any blanks. This is the last one, so I've got to get this right. Got the slots, the old slots are gone. I've got myself a good pile of bone dust here. The old slots are gone. We're still plenty high enough. Just checking this side. Yep, still plenty high enough there. So we're just gonna make sure we've got into these slots. These ones at this side aren't too bad actually. Pretty much where I need to be. And that's it, I'm really happy with that. I've got the slots off. I just gently remove this piece of paper. You see I have a nice pile of bone dust right there. I can use, stick in my bag with the rest of the stuff I've got. So if a drug squad walked in here, we'd have a field day. Not that I've got any drugs, it's the fact that I've got bone dust in here. I've got some bicarb. Great for repairing nut slots. And this is some bone dust, which I'm going to put the rest of the stuff in there. Just stuff for filling nut slots if I ever cut a slot too deep, which has happened. That is looking pretty good. And if I do a final shape with my Swiss file, I'm not going to explain what a Swiss file is again, I've explained it millions of times. It's my favourite file, it's super smooth, super short. And this is just for finishing off to make that knot really smooth. And we're just going to round over . give it a nice shape. That's beautiful. Yes, very happy with that. So a little bit more round over there. This side I'll do, so I'm going to go in front of the camera just to round this over. Just a few strokes. This one doesn't need a lot of work. And again, that's beautiful. That's pretty good. So that is shaped. Really, really pleased with that. That's nice. Nice and smooth. So we are now going to mark where I need the slots to be. And I have a spacing rule here, wide to narrow. And I'm just going to look. These blue markings are normally pretty bang on for a Strat. That's too much, so we're going to go with, we're going to go green to green. See there? There are 6 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you can see these green markings there to there, that's going to be perfect. So I imagine that's going to be about 35 millimeters. So I'm going to sharpen up a pencil. We're going to come back. We're going to make those marks, and we're going to carve some slots, some new slots in there. So I marked my nut where I need to cut the slots. I went with the green markings on here, which you could probably just see from there to there, which is about 35 millimeters. Quite happy with where they are. Looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to cut using my thinnest file, a number 10 cut, Hosco nut slot file. And I'm just going to put a mark where I need these slots to be, and that'll give me a starter. And I'll know where to start making the cut. And that is every little area marked. So I know where to start the cut now. I'm on the wrong side to make the cut, so I'm going to take this guitar back off the bench, and I'm going to go and make the cuts on the other bench. Just make sure we're not cutting into anything. And I'll eyeball it, make sure I'm in the right place. If anything looks odd or not quite correct, I'll slightly adjust where I need to make the cut. But anyway, back to the other bench. So, moving on. Find out where I made the marks and just carve it a little bit with a little bit of purpose. And there you go, I can see those cuts clearly. Just check again with the string gauge or string spacing rule. Just check where we need to be. Oh, and they are perfect. That's fantastic. So we can now cut the proper slots. And the reason we use that rule is it spaces them centre to centre, so you actually get a little bit closer together down here, but that gives the space between the strings the same amount based on the string gauge. So we're going to take, here's a set of Hosco nut slot files. Not the best, but pretty good. They stay sharp. This is why I start with these. I always look for something better than these to finish off, because the 10 and the 13 cut a V more than a circle. Now these cut a circle, that brand, but they went blunt after about half a dozen uses, so I can't recommend them. I'm going to get myself some Stumac ones or some Hosco ones, the different ones, but I'll explain more about that when I get to it. So we're just going to basically start cutting the slots proper. I've started with a 10, I'm just going to go with a 17, which is the opposite side of this, then I can go with the bigger one, which is the 46. Each of these has 2 cuts, 46 and 17. It's a 10-46 set, so this is string 6 and 3, it was a 5 and 2 and 4 and 1. So now I can just start to make the proper cut once I know where I'm going. and that'll make the right slot size for that string. And there you go. It really is that simple. You've got to take your time. If you're a praying man, you'd ask the Lord for guidance, as I have, because I am a church man. But each to their own, because the Lord will guide my hands. Anyway, this one, same again, the 36, thin side, fat side. We're not cutting the depth yet, we're just cutting the shape. Move on to the next one. So we've got 46, 36, 26. We always cut for a 1046 set, even though we're probably using 942s on here. Well, we're not using 946s on here. But we're just getting the shape for now, not the depth. And they're all going pretty well. 17, make sure we've got 17 side. 13. Finally, 10. And there you go. We've shaped the nut, we've got the slots started in the nut. We can now get some strings on and we can cut these to the proper depth. I'm going to do all of that off camera. I'll be measuring the height of the string above the first fret to a recommended amount, probably 0.3mm this side, about 0.2 this side, maybe a bit less, and gradiating down because we need some clearance above this first fret. We're going to match the radius of the fret as much as we can. I will just keep checking everything so we know. And we'll do most of that off camera. As always, I will come back and show you how we got on. So guys, I'll be honest, considering the amount of problems we've had with this guitar, especially the neck, this is all looking pretty good. I'm really optimistic about the chances of this guitar. Not even optimistic, fully confident. I've got the strings on, the nut is not yet finished. I'm just checking the setup, everything seems pretty fine. I've got nice action on the neck. The strings aren't too high, and everything is looking pretty good. But what I need to do is, now I've got the strings on, I've gone with the set I used before, the Dean Markley. It's like a hybrid set, 946. It's a 9 top end but a 10 bottom end, and that extra tension has given us more relief in the neck, which is fantastic. I have the truss rod just nipped ever so slightly just onto tightness, so not any great turn on there. And what I've got to do now, right, I'm going to set the guitar up now. What I'm just checking is the radius of the strings on the saddles or at the bridge, because I want this to be normally on a 7.25 inch radius. We'd set the radius on the bridge to 9.5 inch, but because this is near 6, I'm actually setting this to 7.25, and I've already done it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check again. So 7.25 is a very tight radius. I would not prefer myself, but we've got no choice with the way this neck is. But I'm just checking, and these, the A and the D string, are a little bit too high. So what we're going to do is find the right Allen key. I think it's this one. We're just going to drop those down a tad to make the radius right. That looks pretty good. Slightly on this one. Just need to get the strings up to tension. I've not stretched the strings in yet, so just check in there. That was pretty good. Just going to drop that down a tad. And that's pretty close to where I need to be. Now with string tension on there, that is nice. I'm happy with that. The thing is, I've not stretched the strings in, so before we cut the nut, I'm going to stretch the strings in, then we're going to check the action at the 12th fret. Because just doing this and stretching the strings is going to give us more tension or more pullback on the headstock, maybe another 5 or 10 kilograms, which is going to be great. So listen, this was tuned into E, so let's listen when I stretch it. It's now down to B. And And that makes all the difference. That's going to put more tension on the string pull. It's going to pull the neck up and create a little bit more relief. But we can't set the guitar up until we've got all the stretch out of the strings. And by all the stretch, I don't mean you can't bend notes, because of course you can. But listen. Back down to D. So string tension would have taken this right back down to A, it was that loose. I'll do the same with the A string. That's giving me a G sharp at the moment. Let's just stretch this in. It's down to an F. That's 4. Semitones are down. Back into A, stretch again. Just a couple of times. G sharp. It's a C sharp at the moment. A little bit flat. So, because we can't cut the nut slots until we have everything else set up. So what I'm looking for first is the correct height above the 12th fret. Typically 1.75mm on the low, 1.5mm on the high. That's a gap between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. Once I've got that set, then I can start looking at the bridge. Bear with me a second. My wife is working from home and she's in a meeting. She works for a global company and she liaises with, she heads the Belgian department, her being French. She can speak the language, so she's been a bit loud. I've decided to be quiet. Or quieter, should I say. Anyway, I don't know where I was. Don't know what I was saying, I completely forgot. I'll try and remember in a second. I'll carry on stretching the strings. That's right. So we first set the action at the 12th fret. And once we've got the action on the 2 outer strings done, we can set the radius of the rest of the strings. Well, knowing that's right, knowing this is right, then we can come and look at the nut once we're happy with the amount of relief in the neck. Now the problem with this, relief in this is going to be a bit of a problem because the neck is bowed backwards. And we're creating relief under string tension. So it makes the balancing act a little bit more difficult. Just recap the work I've done and why I've done the work I've done. Like for instance, using string tension to straighten the neck. Now I'm really, really pleased with the action and the way this guitar looks because it plays buzz free. The frets are a sight to behold. They're beautiful. And I'm going to carry on stretching these strings and prattling on as I do. I'll be a little bit more careful with these strings because they don't stretch as much and I don't want to snap them. I've already snapped the top E string, but I don't have a spare one on there. I'm recommending to the owner using hybrid strings, 946 set, just to create a little bit more split tension so that relief holds. And I thought 942s would be a bit too light. What I'm doing is I'm getting this very, very close to full stretch and full tension because then I can start cutting the nut. You'll be forgiven for thinking once I get to the stage where I've done all the frets and I put the nut on, we're very close to the end. We're not though. Setting up is a long procedure and it's a fine art and you have to know what you're doing and you have to do it in the right order because if you do anything in the wrong order it's not going to fall right. Now these are the ones I hate stretching, the top E. I snap loads of these, so I'm not going to go mental. Also this guitar, with the guy not using the tremolo, it means I can just set it up with a fixed bridge type scenario. Right, so let's have a look where we are. This is not being perfect tune, but it'll be close. It's always slightly out of tune when it's laid flat. If I put this in playing position now, it wouldn't be in correct tune. That's not bad at all. So I'm just going to check the action at the 12th fret. So if I'm happy with it, we can then come and cut the nut slots. So, action first at the 12th fret. The guitar's now under proper tension, tuned to pitch. 1.75, 1.5, that is perfect. I may have to bring those strings up just a little bit after I've cut the nut slots, but let's have a look. So I'm happy with that. Relief wise, I've got to take what we've got. If there's any relief in there, it's a bonus. Have a look. There is some relief in there. I would say, if we got anywhere near 0.2 millimeters at the 7th fret, I will be really happy with that, considering that the neck has backbone. Now this looks very, very promising. I'm going to go with 0.2, if I can find it. 0.15, all right, there it is, hiding. No, 0.25, 0.2, there it is. 7th fret, let's just have a little tinkle. Okay, a little bit less relief than I would like. Let's go for 0.15. It's going to have to do, isn't it? Maybe if I let it settle for half an hour. I did that the other week. And after it's settled a little while, we've got more relief. Right, okay. We don't have as much relief as we did last week. I am going to let that settle for 15 minutes before I move on, and then I'm going to come back and check again. I could just gently pour a little. Don't worry about that, that's the table, not the guitar. Just let that hold. It's not altered anything because we're still in tune. D string removed. Oh, I was cracking my glasses, that's what I was doing. There you go. One of the first set of frames I had to replace. That's the best we're going to do relief wise. So probably about 0.1 millimeters. I'd like a little bit more, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And that's pretty good, 0.15. Watch. That is not that bad. I'm quite happy with that. In fact, I'm very happy with that. So that's where we are. Check the action again, 12th fret. Just over 1.75. That's perfect. Just bang on 1.5 there. We've got no buzz anywhere. Really pleased with that. No frettables anywhere. The action is not too high at this end. I thought it might be a little bit higher, but it's not. Just measure it at the 20th fret. 2.2. A little bit higher than I would have liked, but all things considered, considering this back bow from 15th fret, or it bends from 15th fret and goes down, that is not too bad at all. Sounds sweet. Really, really pleased with that. So now we are going to look at the nut slots. There's nothing I can do about the action. I could take it a little bit higher, but that's fine, that's perfect. All what I need to do is check the intonation first before we go setting anything. I do have a short guitar with nothing about. End of the day, this one has been a big compromise. We have got it very, very nicely playable. It's going to be fantastic. When it plays this, he's going to love it. So let's just check the intonation. I checked it before. Sharp. Very sharp. Wrong screwdriver. Right screwdriver. We need to bring that back. We need to lengthen that considerably. Stretch it. Still sharp. There you go. That's it. So the intonation is set, the action's set, we've got the neck set best we can. We can now move on to the nut. I'm going to pause the video just for a second, grab a cup of tea. I'm going to come back, we're going to crack on and get that nut finished. So, cutting the nut slots, and I'm going to err on the side of caution when cutting the height above the first fret. Normally I'd go pretty low, 0.3 to 0.2. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher this time. I'm going to go 0.3 to 0.4. Just a tiny bit higher due to the fact that we've got such little relief in this neck with it having the back bow at this end. I'm not going to cut it so low. So I've got my files already out. This is a 46. These are the Uo Chikyu files I bought last year. Not impressed with these at all. These went blunt after about 4 or 5 uses. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a feeler gauge. 0.4 this end, probably 0.25 that end. I'm not going any lower than that. So 0.4. Just about there. Let's check it with 0.3, because if it's playing alright at 0.4, it should play alright at 0.3. I would like to be 0.3. So we are going to go 0.3. So 46, and we're not going to carve any great depth, we're just going to round off this hole. That's hardly making a dent in that, it's blunt as anything. There you go, that side's cut in. And these, the good thing about these files is they change the material they use. We used to use stainless steel, we're using something else now, not quite as hard steel. And they don't cut as well, but they cut a perfect half circle. Which means that the fret's going to sit in there, the string's going to sit in the slot really nicely. Way high on that one. That's good news because I can really cut into that one. So, angling slightly back toward the machine head, only slightly. Just a few strokes. Perfect. Next one, D string. Should be a 26. I don't have a 26. The closest I have is a 24. So I'm going to slightly angle this as I work. Slightly angle, just widen this slot, widen it there, and just straight in. Happy enough with that. 17. Just a little bit deeper. Blunt that side. Don't like these files at all. Really disappointing. They cost me over 100 quid. $13. I already got these pretty close anyway, so go 0.25 on this one, if I can find it. A little bit more. The 10 is deep enough. Give it one rub, just to make sure we're there. And that is a nut cut. All I need to do now is stretch the strings back in, get it in tune, in playing position, and that is the guitar finished. And guys, we are done, and I'm going to have a job remembering all the work I've done on this, so let's try and recap. The guitar came in with the guy having refretted this and one of his other guitars himself, and the refret jobs on first look pretty good. But this one, he got it refretted and had it re-lacquered, so there was lacquer on top of the fret, so that needed removing for a start. But it soon became apparent that, one thing for certain, the neck had back bow in it from fret 15-ish, especially around this area, but it sloped down to the 21st fret at this end. So after a couple of attempts of trying to get it straight, which nothing was working, I decided we got one option we could do, and that was to level the frets up to fret 15, and then we'll create fall away on the following frets. That way, with string tension, we might be able to pull some relief into the neck, because there's no relief in it at all with the truss rod really loose. So I did try that. I fitted a nut, spent a lot of time sorting all that out. Never charged for any of that. Must have been at least 4 hours work. Didn't charge him for that at all. eventually decided that the best option was to do the fret level up to fret 15, level there and create fall away at this end, which is what I've done. So in hindsight, I mean not in hindsight, looking at it now, the action is a little bit high coming down here, but it wasn't too bothered about that anyway. But the good thing is we've got the action nice and low everywhere else. Now it says it doesn't venture much above the 15th fret anyway, so that's fantastic. So we eventually got that done. I had to do a mock-up before I tried it. Obviously I had to get it not on there, do a mock-up, make sure it all worked. Anyway, so it went to doing it. I did level the frets, to do exactly what I said I was going to do. We created a fall away there. We've reprofiled the frets, polished them all up. I put a new blank nut on there, carved by hand from scratch. That looks fantastic. Frets look amazing. The nut itself, fitting a new nut from a blank, carving it and fitting it, I would charge £65. Charged him nowhere near that either. Something else, we did the electrics. We're going to look at the electrics and we're going to put in a blend pot, but he decided he wanted a better mod than that, and he decided to have, rather than have two tones, a tone on the neck, tone on the middle, neck, middle, we're going to create, I was suggested doing a master tone and a blend pot at the end there, which I didn't want that. But so what we decided to do is we're doing a bass cut, a treble cut and a bass cut, which is a fantastic mod. It's the G&L Legacy TB, PBT or something, passive bass treble cut, that's right. So when you roll that down, that drops the treble. When you roll that down, it drops the bass. Really nice mod. So we did that. I did that more or less. I did that again under cost. I should have charged about 65 quid for that. I didn't. I charged considerably less than that. I've charged him for the pots and the capacitors, a little bit of labour time. So we did. So it's had a complete rewire inside with the bass and treble cut mod, complete fret level, reprofile, polish, the nuts cut from scratch. I also softened the edges of the fret bevel, so I've re-beveled as well. All in all, this amount of work, it should have cost you about 275 quid. I've charged him nowhere near that. I did suggest to him maybe, you know, another thing I noticed along the way was he had not re-radiused the board properly, so the radius is not any given radius. It's supposed to be 7.25, it's actually closer to 6, so I had to make allowances for that. So actually when I radiused the frets, I radiused them to no radius. I just did it all by eye and by feel, just to see you know, what I could do. And the radius is pretty close to 6, but look, let me just show you the action there at the 12th fret. That is not high at all. That is a lovely action. Get a little bit higher down this end, but nothing untoward there. So really pleased with how it's gone. The neck will stay straight. There's about 0.15mm of relief under the 7th fret, which is as little as I would like to put in there, but that's fine. It's holding. So the guitar, a Japanese Fender Strat, certainly looks apart. I've just got to put the back plate on, which I'm going to do in a second. I mentioned it before I shot the video. The back plate is in there, but that's it. It has been a big project. It's been an expensive one and a learning curve for the owner of the guitar, because in hindsight, I myself would have taken these frets out. Thing is, he's put the frets in, he's made the tang too wide, it's caused back bow. I would have taken those frets. Certainly would not have lacquered it before I leveled the frets either, which he had done. So in hindsight, I would have removed the frets, removed the lacquer, re-radiused the fingerboard. I'd have then refretted it. And once I'd refretted it, got the frets all done, polished and leveled, then I'd have taped over the frets with some 3mm tape and I'd have had it lacquered again. That's what I'd have done. In the future, if he wants to do that, because he is learning, you know, I certainly would have re-radiused that board, you know. But that's it. What's done is done. We have fixed it. Is it a perfect fix? No, it's not a perfect fix, but it is a good fix. It's the best we could do. Doing a refret on this, you know, it would have cost him considerably more, because it had to have been re-lacquered again. I'd have charged more because I was already 100 quid into labour anyway. I've done him a favour by knocking him the money off. I'll tell you what I've charged him for this. I've charged him 180 quid plus £5 for strings. And I've put 2.5 days into this. 2.5 days I could earn 500 quid in 2.5 days, you know, for an early go at it. But I'm not pissed off, I'm fine. I'm just pleased I've done a good job. We've made the guitar playable. It certainly looks fantastic. Lovely weight to it, lovely neck profile. And it looks brilliant. You're not going to see the hump. in this end of the neck. You do know, I know it's there, and James knows it's there. You can actually see it if I'm looking at this. You can see the bow and the bulge, and it's just in this area, which is really strange. But you know, we've made a great job of it. So that one is done. I'm going to put the neck plate on as I continue to speak, because I could have been doing that, couldn't I? I'm going to remind you of my websites, which are at Facebook, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. You can always check me out at fretfriend.co.uk. Hopefully one day I'll get that website built properly. It's only a temporary site at the moment, it's not complete yet, but there's some good information on there, some good pictures, and the reviews are on there. So fretfriend.co.uk. I'm just sticking these in. I know it's not exciting for you, but I'm just sticking these screws in. We're going to get them in there. So what an interesting project this has been. And don't get me wrong, I've not enjoyed it. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I've learned something. And the techniques I've used on this I can use for future projects I've got, where I have I have a neck with a back bow, but it's a uniform back bow. It's not just in one area, it's across the whole neck, and it's very, very slight. And I can use this kind of method to fix that, because that's going to actually be my neck. It's a warm neck. That owes me a lot of hours, and it owes me money. You know, I gave the guy his money back and paid him some extra on top, and I lost out on it, and I lost out on time. But it's another story for another day. So there it is. Japanese Fender Strat. Can't remember what year it is. It's got an E9 serial, but a beautiful looking thing. Lovely white faded, with a white body where it's faded and gone to a vintage white over the years. So it looks apart on a great guitar, but that is it. I'm going to move on to the next project, of which I have quite a few up on the board. So until next time, as always, I'm Victor. I'm your fret friend. Until next time, God bless you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you in the next one.